Så det är idiotiskt hos män. Samma som
So welcome, welcome everybody to this very precious event with Venerable Khenchen Nyima Gyaltsen Rinpoche. So let us not waste any time. We can start with our opening prayer. All mother sentient beings, especially those enemies so fatally, obstructors so calmly, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly will I establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind.
Sanjay Chodan Soje Chonan Le Janju Pandu Dane Jasun Dage Jenso Jebe Sonam Jen Dola Pinjara Sanjay Doba Ayo.
In the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha most excellent. I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings.
Sajim Buju Chujim Mendo Lingxi Nyede Jimban Sanje Shenla Mede Buai Doga Namdan Duen Jewur Shu Kuzo Yonzo Lame Zonang Chena Sansu Deshin Nejin Chun Dalu Longchun Hansi Yongxil Lami Choge Ngudu Zandu Chansar Wadang Chujin Shabba Dan Jesu Yiran Kurshin Suru Ai Junze Dage Jesa
The ground is sprinkled with scented water and strewn with flowers. It is adorned with Meru, the supreme mountain, the four continents, and the sun and moon. As a Buddha field, I offer it. May all sentient beings attain the happiness of the Buddha field. To the lamas who possess the three kayas, I offer the outer, inner, and secret offerings with my body, wealth, and all that is visible. Please grant me the supreme realization, enlightenment. Whatever merit I have gathered through prostrations, offerings, confessions, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying, for the sake of the enlightenment of all sentient beings, all these I dedicate.
Guru Deva Agenera Menda Pardeza So Simjanam Je Sambadam Loye Jedra Jedra Chechon Tumo Deva Ye Chujir Kolo Gordo So
Turn the wheel of the Dharma, of the two vehicles and their combination, according to the disposition and likewise the mental capacities of sentient beings.
Kanshi Guru Jansun Jesuran Shankara Gavala Doran Zave Kachirim Goche Yiva Nambrata Vechin Chen Lavji Chujun Jesu Shempe Yandrasa Meshe Shem Halam Jase Wa Yanrungwa Kache Tuve Tupju Timame Lama Damba Namla Jan Zajan Juda Josan Jawa Chenja Labaran Zadu Dojin Jawan Delo Narota Manmeta Purin Jitanga Garen Sumden Zave Lamesh Zaju Lama Yedam Juzon La Zuvan Duzo Daju Chenjela Chendenga Damba Dosanje Gandrumang Paden Lamarashara Dojiran Shen Turbe Lamdam Yung Zhen Xinye Nam La Ge Zhang Zi La Da La Me Mam Je Wang Bu Dang Je Jin La Zu Ju Je Ju La Che Wa Che Wa Nam San Je Zong Ren Du Xi Xian De Wei Ju Ju De Dan Je Je Tan Be Ju Nian Ba Liang De Xi Xi Ai Ya Da Tong Mer Tene Nam Ga Da Nian Be Sim Je Tang Che Tene San Je Ge Kong Bang Jin De Jiang Tu Ba Cha Tene Ti Che Du Da Tang Be Chu Sam年薪等到年数两年上百的突击，这边可能的上班学。
So first, please think how wonderful it would be if all sentient beings would attain the state of Buddhahood and also develop the motivation to practice for that purpose.
테네 당은도 단다. 니마 카시에 지기rin라 테네 쉬어야 돼. 다 지단 테네 산제기 나추 공부 제티시동 스나인다. 어때나신 테네 데노숨 스나인다. 어떤데게 추 삼지 메차바시 슈베나네. 테네 믹세기 다지 찾아 준비하게 돼. 만으로 된 베게 테네 중 담도 띵인 생기 제분도 세야 돼. 단데란 삼삼들에 다와 드메긴 도야 송도와 띵도 장다 텐데기 도티 나네 테네 다 된다 내가 테네 지다 쉬어야 뭐 텐데기 제름지 바레스
So for the next couple of days, we have a program here in which I will give explanations on the so-called Samadhi Raja Sutra, or the King of Samadhis. And in general, this is a text that explains Mahamudra, the great seal without faults. So among all the 84,000 collections of Dharma, which are sometimes also summarized within the 3 baskets of Pitakas, so among all these immeasurable teachings that the Buddha has taught, this sutra really is the one which explains Mahamudra in a perfect way.
테네 단단데다 땡긴 생기 제부근도 차상징은 테네지 시에고는 다시 시에 차려야 같은데 매월 어때서 수행하는 몽골이야 지그래 땡긴 생긴도 제부 나눠라 추천 망보래 테네 야 슝켄게 장주 선바양 카카셰지게 야 슈요래 테네 산제기 마 송영도 자네양 테네 된다 자외게 된다 지과이나양 송탄 테스트에서 만자베 통에 되는 송이샤고 망보지 유발에 다 이나양 단단되네 좋은 로데 단단데 장추 선바 다우이존어서야다 되게 되네 산제라야 쉬네 되네 산제게 되라마 랭귀지도 송이샤와 다 디톤에 되네 주제 텐소 조시나 되는 쉬어야 되는 지인스.
So, and in general, this sutra, the King of Samadhis, is really long, and it is far too long to explain it in only a few days. So, because it has many chapters, and within these many chapters, there are also there appear many bodhisattvas who ask questions to the Buddha, and then the Buddha answers. And although of course, his basic, like the main topic of his teachings is always the same, it is still explained in many words, this one meaning. So for that reason, I thought it would be good if we could focus on the questions posed by the Bodhisattva Chandra Prabha and the answers that the Buddha gives.
Tene ta tende chene chul tongwe jumsendo de zo karin se de zane tene ta chanchu samba dawu jono se ate tene sanjegi ngulubre tene ndo tingin zinde songbe kapsu tene songsegi lome nangi tene loma zoode tene chade yore jigne tene nyine tene dawu jono de tene chesu ta pyo kanchenge jongla tene nyame gambo pai kui jewa je yongwa tene chigre te chidu zane tene yangchi dawu jono tang ngarang tsoge ta chi chuju ge palaya dewa shu chenbu yo dewa tene chigdang tene sanjegi korgi zogo kap ti kapgi tengen zinjarbu ndo songsegi korgi zogo tene yinbe wangdo tang yungu zane tene dawu jono ge songbegi tilen tang tiwa oda tenso te tene chig zogo chene xie jewa ina tene yang ngarang tso desi pento chewa tene yongsa re sam chene ta ti tone ma tene chig shuya chewa yins.
And why are we going to focus on Chandra Prabha's questions? One reason is that Chandra Prabha was not only one of the direct disciples of the Buddha, but he's also the main disciple who asked the main questions in this sutra. So this is one reason that he was one of the Buddha's main disciples and the main bodhisattva to appear in this sutra. And the other reason is that Chandra Prabha also later took birth in Tibet as the incomparable Gampopa. And because Gampopa is so closely related to our lineage, and because Chandra Prabha was the main disciple here in the sutra, I thought it would be of great benefit if we could focus on the question that he is asking the Buddha in this text.
Tene jumsen shenta chigi tono sono tawa ina tene dawu jono ge sanje la ta tiwa teya zowo de kare tono tina yurisana tene tawan nambra taba tang juban nambra taba de kandeji chaya la tablam kandeji yuwa tene tawan nambra taba na juban nambra taba de kandeji yinba ta tenzu kola zowo tiwa te nawa tene chigri de yuri te indi zane tene ngarang zo pena chi rung gaju ge tene chi shingde ge sunji juban je tene sungu ge gungbe ge wangdo che yungdo zane yang tene juban je tene sungu ge sungu nang lap ta ke che shun rabu te 다단데 차친 따와 차제 친구당 죄바 추첨세 디니버디 베 계층부 지네 드니 송주나 용의 요래 띵도 전에 드니 야 지금도 띵인 생기 죄자당 라브로도 다우존의 탤런트 저기 죄자대 드니 저번에 대한 송고 공부양 트레지 시작하는 송제와 인도 전에 든 대도는 말 드니 쉬나 삼바인데 제인스.
And another reason why I have selected passages with questions posed by Chandra Prabha is because the main topic of these questions and their answers given by the Buddha is how to develop pure view and pure conduct, and then how to practice these two. And this is also very much at the core of our Drikong tradition's founder, Jigten Sungön's teachings. In his teachings, he also speaks a lot about view and conduct. And according to him, according to Jigten Sungön, The pure view is Mahamudra, and the pure conduct is disciplined conduct. So because this is the same topic that is also discussed here among Chandraprabha and the Buddha, I thought it would be good to focus on these passages.
Atende indusane di tamunga zum dogi sengi tone zo samnu jitama ina ten dogin senla pawa chutam chege ranshin nyamba ni number 2 ba tingin zenje japos tatende che yungdo di indusane di sendegi tene tawan number taba tang jeban number taba teni songden derbe kitene gombar number taba tesumde tene songyong doante sen korang tunda to song tama ina techidu zane oda thambo techi juna.
So let us first maybe have a look at the title of the sutra, and in the English translation, the title is translated as "The King of Samadhis, the Revealed Equality of the Nature of All Phenomena." And when we look at this title, we can see that also already in the title, it is like the pure view and the pure conduct are taught, and not only pure view and pure conduct, but also the pure meditation or practice, which is the combination of view and conduct, is also taught in this sutra's title.
Tate kandejindu saying the sane tandande di tingin sengi jarbugan don de la tene jaage loben chambo jambre chwa saya tene kongi tandande tingin sengi jarbugi don de tene jesheji yong de rewa chimboji jeshenji yore ten ti nang la tambun sengi tanda de man jeshe nang yong de zane tandande chu tamchege rangshin nyamba ni saya tegi 또 찾아 친구 그때 tene tawan nabra tawa telan rishina yung dawa chudam cheche ranshi nyamba nide karsana chacha chimbure es tendu tegi zogo tawe kuru tawe ki ton rishina yung mare tene number 2 ba sayi du zane tene tsutim pena lu ki tsutim nga ki tsutim yi ki tsutim number 2 ba ta tende ton rishina yung tendu ta tegi juban number tawa chirwa 다 단다 네 나랑 같이 고발한다고 제인도 전에 땡인 진세야 되기 니가라고 하시러와 단제된 송반하신 책체인데 수팀 내 집을 통해 냠술랭 고래 송여로 gond백값수 디치도 전에 땡인 진세야 되기 따와 지구양 많이 봐 수팀 지구양 많이 봐 된대기 따와 넘버 타봐 최담제게 ran신 냠반이 대당 주반 넘버 타고 넘버 2 봐서야 수렴 대당 대니보다 송든 주베게 띵인진 대다 띵인진 탐지에게 난게 자보디 차도로 대인도 전에 띵인진게 자보스도 전에 되게 되네 곰바 초도 주바대 어송바 따고 대지레도 요리 대인도 전에 단딘 돈 되게 나라 따와다 곰바다 줘봐 차상지 송내 tenen jeude ta shulu den wata go tende ji chaing go yusare esting seng dan ro tende ji re.
And there is a commentary on this sutra by an Indian master called Manjushri Kirti, and he gives a very good explanation. He wrote a great commentary on the sutra, and he gives a very good explanation of the title of the sutra. And he says basically that the nature of all phenomena refers to Mahamudra, or the view. and the revealed equality refers to to conduct, and he explains it as physical conduct, verbal conduct, and mental conduct. So the disciplined conduct of body, speech, and mind is what he says about the revealed equality here. And so there we have the view in nature, in the nature of all phenomena, and we have the disciplined conduct. And I think that when it says the king of samadhis, then this samadhi, the king of samadhis, kind of combines these two, view and conduct. This samadhi is not only view, and it is also not only disciplined conduct, but it is really a combination of these two. And because it is a combination of these two, pure view and pure disciplined conduct, it is called the king of samadhis. This again is then, this in turn is then the perfect meditation or perfect practice. So the title already contains all three: view, conduct, and meditation or practice.
근데 지레 다때인도 대경은 생게 돈을 선호당도 전에 다와당 곰바당 제바 숨갈 된 무스 된 바나신 저는 것도 선호 지기다야 용비열에 대지레 되네야 로번 잠베 타베기 대시에 나단 지기 돈을 선호당와이나 되네야 다와 지부를 잖네 소용 같은 대지의 용도 다와 지부 돈을 선호당네 대선호당도 전에 단단히 최점 제기를 하신 냠반이 number 2바 매바 하세야지. 상당히 안 좋은 number 2바 하세야 들어와. 다이한테 갈직지 레바이나 자와이나. 그냥 차ချင်း랑기 토네. 차제 진부 내루세야 돼. 최담제게 랑신세. 텐데게 최담제게 랑신데. 최종 매바. 장애 매바. 다 텐데게 타단 태와 텐데지 인도산에 최담제게 랑신데 냠바니레. 텐데기 최담제게 란신 냠바니 대 tenengan soji lo number to ba dang lo nam to gi tube gi yulle de ba imbarwa chaje chimbo saya de nam to gi juyur to chuba mare tende indu sane number 2 ba me ba sayaji o tende gi tone yang samo da ne de ji yong bi yure de indu sane ta de de number 2 ba me be gi tingin jin de tene yang ji nam jung ara so 신내 지부 공백이 띵은제 나신 야나지 잠바단 인지 공백이 띵은제 나신 띵은제 파르바텐데 마레스 단다드네 최담제게 나신 냠바니 넘버 2바 매백이 띵은제 대 그 띵은제 탐제게 자포스라게 요레스 띵산에 다 찾아 침부서야 되는 문제 제고래서야 텐데긴데 시진 연구 요레 띵산에 그래서 텐데기 지고 돈서는 당연히 단돈데 모네게 사보지당 자체베게 란신지 임바데 탄생 고랑을 도네야 고토 같은 데 지르도 요레스
So if we look at the title in this way, then we can say that it directly explains all three: view, meditation, and conduct. But in this Indian commentary by Manjushri Kirti, he also gives another explanation, and he says the title of the sutra can also be explained just in terms of the view. And he does that by adding a negation to the title. And then he says it is the samadhi that is free from all elaboration. So before we had the revealed equality of the nature of all phenomena, and Another way of explaining the title would be to say it is the Samadhi that is free from all elaboration. So this is another way of understanding the title. And that then, this freedom from elaboration then becomes the nature of all phenomena. So freedom from proliferation means freedom from the proliferation of extremes. So extremes like good and bad, or big and small, and so on. So this Samadhi is free from all these kinds of elaboration of conceptual thinking. So therefore, the Samadhi we're talking about here is not just a normal Samadhi of some calm abiding meditation, or a Samadhi of love and compassion and so forth. These are like common Samadhis, but the Samadhi we're talking about here is nothing else than the realization of Mahamudra. And if we look at the title of the sutra in this way, then we can see that it is really a very profound teaching. We can already see from the title that it is an extremely profound teaching.
Tene tan din do de ma go zu gen de zane tene tan da chanchu simba da wu jonu churba ki da tangbo chewa gen go zu gu yoro chewa gen go de zu gen de zane kanen go zu bare sanne tene da wu jonu churba ki Quran shu sana ya lane sanje chum den de la cha tsene tene ma pe mo sala zu ne sanje la kar shu ndu sana nge tene chewa chi te yus di tuwa tela tanichi sanjegi tiji sashe na kokabji ngala nangirwes kese kokab tanichi tuwa tela kokabji nawa ina ngala nesu kasheji nge shuya ndoba tanichi yus tanichi na sanjela ya shu dawa dawa shunu chube tani sanjegi ta yinda yins kayasana sanjegi lamsan shashin nawa re jumsen karsana ndo tengin sen jarbu de sungu yore ndo 땡긴 제 제부 송연도 전에 송세긴 코르기 쪼고대 단지 슈바나신 다우슈노 슈바 차용 거요래 당 코르기 쪼고대기 야 저와지 대연도 전에 다들 양지 시기 면세야다 마송 같은데 쟤는 만들고 있는데 산재게 남산 고감 난다와 인디레스 네처럼 가두이나야 저와테요 고갑 때데요스 대치도 전다 드렌처럼 ndeba kare yowanashin 저런 대당스 등의 렌차 상징 마드네 대긴 산재기 달래 나야기 셔시당 저와티 초야기 다 초천저지 난도와 도말
In the beginning of the text, it is said that Chandrakava, this Bodhisattva we were already talking about, that he rose from his seat. So he was sitting in the assembly next to the Buddha, and then he rose from his seat and prostrated to the Buddha. And then he asked the question, he says, if the Bhagavan will give me an opportunity to seek answers to my questions, I would like to ask you, the Bhagavan, the Tathagata, a few questions. So he's asking whether the Buddha would give him an opportunity to ask his questions. And then the Buddha immediately answers and says, yes, of course, you can ask me whatever you want to ask. So he immediately accepts Chandraprabha's questions. And the reason for that is that, as I said before, that Chandraprabha was the main disciple in the Buddha's retinue at that time. So because the Buddha had to teach the Samadhi, the King of Samadhi Sutra, it was he wanted to teach it. And when then Chandraprabha asked him if it was okay if he would pose a few questions to the Buddha, then the Buddha immediately accepted. So he said, whatever you want to know, you can ask me.
다 대화대 가르쳐 버렸으나 다또 띵인 생각 돈 대화래 가인선은 되는 너우주는 주로게 산제라 가르쳐 버렸으나 뭐다 되네 남주 띵인 생세 특히 용도 왔어 대인도 저는 다 띵인 생세하게 된다대 간지지 그랬다 오늘 뒤 책대 된 뭐마데 가르는 주고 요래스 지난 것도 남주인 빼는 된대지로와 다 벽에 당 레저게 계도는 인지래 메도 빼말라 지단 초지 있으면라도 초레지바 초지 있으면라도 메도 빼말 린다면 망보 요래 가시엔 초는 쟁킹게 빼메리야 요래 가시 신동 감보가나 쟁킹리야 용도와 따티 제인두자는 초지 있어야게 맹데 문에서로 고쳐오래 그러와 지 초지에서 맹 라와 참만은 문에 콜 맹데 누구를 야난 초지에서야 돼 문에겐 로사 신다지 유르베스 나도 전에 문에 초지에서야 돼 바긴 초가 나나 제대로 매도 배만 텔코로 와다 무스 지 가서는 된단 대시 제 요와데 텔코 요르와 다야 된단 대시 제 매외 통는 건 초지에서 인도전에 삼삼 매금만 초지에서 다 초그래 삼사단에 신동을 통는 제대로 매도 된다는 초지에서 맹다 초요르와 이나야 된 음액은 초지에서야 돼 술로 그래서야 지금 그러와 대나신 다우전의 주백에 대처티거다. 띵인진 세도자는 남중어도다. 즉 참말로 배주치대 띵인진 세도. 신의 곰바이나야 띵인진 세요로와 신의 곰바이나야 띵인진 세요래. 대나신 참바 곰바이나야 띵인진 곰바 세요래. 닌지 곰바이나야 띵인진 곰바 세요래. 다 가르 곰제도나 띵인진 곰도 있어 랍추로와. 대인도다는 다우전의 당문에게 띵인진 세야 돼. 나도 남주 맹내 니데와 무명당 다명스 니용이와 텐데 무명데 술로 그래 스팅전스야 돼. 땡알 렌치 나오나스 맹문에 무명데 텐데 송도 전에 다 산제기 땡전스야 돼. 무명 내려지르다 스네더니 다와도 단지 시간 나지 다와 남버 다와 주반 남다 지금 돈 만드시나 용도와 어떤데
And then the question that Chandraprabha asked the Buddha is mainly about the word Samadhi. So he's asking the Buddha, what does it mean? What does it really mean when you talk about Samadhi? What is the actual meaning of Samadhi? So this is a little bit like with different terms you have in different languages, like for instance in Tibetan, if you say Tsokye, it means being born from a lake. And this term you can apply to in different contexts. So sometimes a person could be called Tsokye, then it becomes the name of a person. Sometimes it also refers to different types of flowers, but like the actual meaning of Tsokye is a lotus flower. So in similar ways, when we talk about Samadhi, this term Samadhi appears in so many different contexts. Sometimes we talk about the Samadhi of calm abiding. Sometimes we talk about the Samadhi of love, the Samadhi of compassion, and so forth. So there are different kinds or different types of Samadhi, and this word Samadhi is used in many different contexts. So therefore, Chandraprabha here asks the Buddha, what is like the innermost meaning? What is the real meaning of the term Samadhi? What do you really mean when you say Samadhi?
타티 인도에는 산제기 테네 다우쇼노 줄발라 테네 카르솜바스나 레스 당문에게 띵인진 세야테 된다 덴데실 고고레스 다 산제가 마 띵인진 된다 고사기 유르데 시용도 단데는 간선데 마 따윤도 전에 된다 지금 망본도 된다 니는 돈로도 Tanda chikde tawan number tawa. Chacha chimbu gombala tingin sin labres. Tanda chikde jeban number tawa. Sutum tsama songatla tingin sin labres. Te indu chane ta tawan namda tang jeban namda nipo tela tingin sin sigures. O te songatla wanderma.
And so then the Buddha replies, and he explains what he means with the term, with the word samadhi. And here we can see that he explains it in two ways. He says, on the one hand, he says samadhi is the view. So samadhi means to practice Mahamudra in an unmistaken way. And at the same time, he also says that samadhi, when I speak about samadhi, it is perfect or pure conduct. So it is keeping your disciplined conduct pure. So he explains samadhi in this twofold way here.
Tati indu tambo ngazu di ndo kurangi tsigina na karsundu sina sem ngebra toba tang jewa meba tang 참저와 매바당 참저와 셰바당 쿨프로와당 대신식의 예시당 산재기 춘초도 줄바당 세야쓰기도와 줄바당 되네되네마 뇌차 다테버도 나한테 산재기 춘초도 줄바당 세야지 다테버도 조 땡인진 세야데 따원 넘버 타고지를 고그레 스테송인도와 가르송도스는 땡인진 세야데 셈게 버터 받으라고 그래 숨을 땅도 남주 차ချင်း갑라 먼저 도양 뭐마데 칠로게 되네 응보튼 속에 내술된 건저 도양 타르도보는 말에 단서 내가 도야 잠으로 타르도고 도양 뭐마데 셈도고 그러와 셈게 버터고 그래 대인도 전에 셈도바텔라 셈도베게 따와텔라 차ချင်း송거로 대인도 저번째 된 송공을 가르송 버렸으나 tene tawen chojuru topa tang demba sombarwa tawa yakshu de tawen tarutopa de semge nelu ngusum topa ke tawa tela tene tawa yanda sungre sombare teindu sane tanda sanje ke yandana tingenzin seya tawe tonen ngazo kowalemba ina semge ber topa seya de tene tawa te tingenzin re sondawa semge ber topa tang
And when we look at the words here in the sutra, then it is said, the Bhagavan replies to Chandraprabha. He says, young man, when I say samadhi, samadhi, I mean the profound realization of the mind. It is the absence of arising, it is the absence of continuation, it is the knowledge of continuation, it is putting down the burden, it is the wisdom of the Tathagatas, it is having the preeminence of Buddha. So, and then the text still continues, but we can say that until here, the Buddha explains samadhi as samadhi as the pure view. So, and this pure view is nothing else than, he says, it is the profound realization of the mind. So it is nothing else than what we realized when we realized Mahamudra, when we practice Mahamudra. So when we practice Mahamudra, it is not the outer objects that we realize. That is only one like side effect of the practice. But what we ultimately realize when we practice Mahamudra is we realize the mind. And therefore, Jigten Sungön also says that in his single intention that the supreme view is always endowed with realization. So this is really what is talked about here. The profound realization of the mind. That is the profound view.
산지규 공방세도 전에 사제 신다지라 로사양 요마레 테네 믹세기 간소 치로기 수불라 주바스케 템로야던데 개용고 말에 얘는야 조 가른 주바 태송하르스나 심 내루디 양다고 또송 데려와 텐디 텐데기 심 내루도 또송아 이나 데리 가르송 바스나 심 또나 산지 임베 송바르 산지기 심 또나 산지레스 산지세타 데레 심 또가 데레스 대지류산의 주랑 산재 시엔도 맞출스 산재서야 돼 치료지를 유지해서 제거야 요 말레스 산재서야 주랑 그 승계란신 데레스 승계란신 대신이 무엇이야 데레스 대도소와이는 주랑 산재계 공방 토바레스 대인류산에 도야 조데 심도바데 인송도와 대인류산에 다 땡긴쟁게 결국 뭐마데 심내버 토바데 숨바레
So here the Buddha says the Samadhi is the profound realization of the mind. And there are other sutras in which the Buddha says, when you realize the mind, that is the Buddha, don't look for the Buddha anywhere else. Don't try to find the Buddha anywhere else. So that means that when we seek Buddhahood, then Buddhahood is something that cannot be found anywhere outside of our own mind. So it's not an outer object. And when you have realized Buddhahood, it also doesn't mean that anything changes on the outside. But it is something that you realize within your own mind and which like transforms or changes your mind. Therefore, here the profound realization of the mind is nothing else than the realization of the nature of your own mind, your own Buddha nature. That is what you realize. And that is why the king of samadhis is here also explained as the profound realization of the mind.
tenenganzo muyunro de karegichido shugyoresana tadeya kansa soso muyun tamanda kirwa kaje nekapkichi nasa jengen la sobaba mewa chayachido wangshuya yongere tenanshendo chi gomjaya ten nekapkichi tadungedang nyoratunzo mewa chayachido yongsigirede ina zowanganzo muyurde tani wangji shunayanda tenanshendo chu kanteji chewa inaya sim dobar chewe chedu tani chetu songwa ina miyur tendeji sim tu songwa ina tani miyur shenda tsamade ko ranshin gin rumdu yore tendu zane tani sim dobade pe ke chimbo imba tendeji songre techidu tani tingin zengi se yadung go zu yundu zane ya sim ngebar dobadre sena songyongdo ke chimbo imba jumse tendeji re tendu ta nganzo sim do se yade cho jingne 칸에 대시 제가 레사우리 섬도고 센터시 제레 사우리데 양 초진다 진행하서 또야데 데스칼레 카본로지 용유레 양직 때는 또 메시버트네 레베스는 메시바양 말에 소소응원에 대박 무슨 소가 유여봐 되는지 라마베 냠네 천랍 첨부 연경에 라마지던 테 근데 소소기 데라 대바당 누구지 제 준주지 제 tende chene ko sumgung orang la tane tene ko chi tende chene gomywa yinam tene ko sumgi tengi namdo de kase ma nyoro roswa tesi gi tene sumgi tengi deji de ya shu chere peren ya o tende chi yungu yusare tene te ya penen tene tama de la sumgi nelu chasang chi to to sundu zane tene sangje ba seya o tende chi cha yungu yu de zane tende ke chi mo tende chi cha yu res.
So therefore, it is, of course, extremely important to realize the nature of our mind. That should also always be our main reason for listening to Dharma teachings and requesting empowerments and so forth. In general, we do these things. We go to Dharma teachings, we listen to the Dharma, we receive empowerments, and we try to apply the teachings and so forth for many different reasons. Sometimes, so that really depends on the individual person. So sometimes it might be that we have some kind of sickness and we want to be free from that sickness, and therefore we think it would maybe benefit us if we listen to some Dharma teachings. Sometimes we maybe want to learn how to meditate in order to have a little more happiness and less suffering in our lives and so forth. So in general, there can, of course, be many different reasons why we study the Dharma, why we listen to the Dharma teachings. But in fact, the main purpose should always be that we try to realize our own mind. And then if we strive for that, if we really if that is our main goal when we listen to the Dharma, then all the other things like being free from sickness and so forth, all these will kind of automatically be achieved. That is also, of course, the same here with this king of samadhis. So the main purpose when we listen to this teaching should also be that we want to realize the nature of our mind. And that is something that is like easy to say, but sometimes not so easy to actually accomplish. It is easy to say, oh, I want to realize my mind, the nature of my mind, but sometimes it appears as extremely difficult to actually do that. And therefore we should remind ourselves that it is not, it is sometimes difficult, but it is also not impossible to do it. If we have faith in the Dharma and we meet with qualified teachers, we have faith in these teachers, we trust them, we receive teachings from them, and if we then practice the Dharma, then it is really possible to look at the nature of our own minds and to continuously practice and to so that our defilements become lesser and lesser and our qualities increase. And then at some point you will really be able to look at the nature of your own mind. It is difficult, it appears difficult, but it is also possible.
Tende indu tene chupchen telo bage chachen kamyaman de sumlo tene penna kangba chiginala lotong cha cha mambola Nyima dang lola sobegi tene we zawane mapo ne nakong cha de kangba chi yoba ina tende gi kangba tegina lotong cha mambola ko nakong cha de yore de ina ya tereng jo chila marme chi par ba ina karba lotong cha mambo rengi nakong chama de tereng ko ba la tu res petina jin tu tenes tanan tene sem ngebar toba songa ido dendre ji tene sem nelu ngebar toba ji jula je songa ina tene ngara so jugi ji mari pa dang o tina jindo nyomamba ndo cha shedan timola sobe ji jen mambu ji ko rangshin ge tene pa chondo res kaisana sem nelu tong sondo zane jen da tamje ko rangshin ge thando res pena tanda mami ge pedanda wares o tende yan so yong do wa tena jindo tene ngarang so ge ta ji le la na cha da sem la gang ge nyo de ge mambu ye wa ten so yang sem ge nelu yang da wa ji do to so yin na te da tamje yang rangshin ge pa sen ro res pena kande res na 행동 ji ye wa yin na di 행동 de ge da ji yarga dang loma mambu ye wa che tela tene nganzo la yarga dang loma ten so ge gang ge ji de ye na 다 열가던 로마도 데스 뚝대와 되게 나조 강에 자원에 매와 지소도 말레스 다 개시 행동의 자원에 봐도 제가 이나 열가던 로마 동타만 보대 랑신게 감내 매와 찬로레스 어디나신 섬게 되네 자와도 지 최소와 이나 내로도 지 도소와 이나 되네 단지 쉬와 나신게 내가 면대베식 탐제대 파 타로야 되네 지금 그래 송도와 대인도 산재경 또 땡인생 제고 써야 돼 생미버 또 같은데 지레스 노다 대신에 송고 유사래
And Tilopa, the great master Tilopa, also said something in his Gangama, in the text called Gangama. There he says, even if there was like darkness in a house, like if there's a house and there has been this house has been dark for thousands of years, no sun has ever been shining on this house, even if we light a single lamp in this house, then the darkness of 1,000 years will in one instant disappear. So that is an example for what happens if we have such an profound realization of the mind. If we realize the mind, then in that instant, all our faults like desire, aversion, and ignorance, and so forth, will in one instant naturally be purified. And also all our sufferings, all our worries that we usually have will in that moment be cleared away. It is also one example for how this works is if we have a tree and somehow we are bothered by the leaves and the branches of the tree, then it doesn't help that much if we cut one leaf here and one leaf there, and maybe also cut a little bit of the branches of the tree, then still the leaves and branches, everything will grow back very fast. But on the other hand, if we cut the root of the tree, then no matter how old that tree is, no matter whether it has grown for hundreds of years, the whole tree will die. So it is the same with all our sufferings and the faults that we have in our mind. If we cut the root of them by realizing the nature of our mind, then they will naturally be purified.
Oh yeah, ta tene ka songdo sana ti jila jewa me ba tan samjiro me ba songdo ta ti sem nge bra to ba to songwa ina tene chue tam je rang xin jewa me ba to ba re tena xin do tela tene nganzo siban khang song ko wen la yang jer gi ji dung he de jebe to ne jewa lemba me ba to ndo re tene nganzo tanda ngarang song ko wala kante kante ji yu me gi jodan jen de nganzo shingemen do rāngwā mōndō wā tēngi sēngu nēlu ngōmara tōsōngā yinā tsamjirwa shienpa rē 감대신의 제월랭기 요미 계시 현던도 제월랭구 요나 삼신도 제월랭 도와 또 근데 차도 그래서 거예요. 대나신 당당가랑서 성빈대로 마도 용도 전에 잘라 지고 정보지 쿨대와 나신 거지 강나만 nen대와 나신지 가리이나야 고 라왕메 된게 나신지 차도 요래데 성빈대로 양타바 또 송아이나 쿨 버와래 잘라 지고 정보 켜대와데 밤매와서 나신래 대나신도 성빈대로 양타바 또바데 대신시비 이시래 산지기 이시 나랑서로 당부 요래 예바데 하고 요 말에 다스민으로 또 연도 전에 예바된 것으로 또 말해. 되니 가르쳐 와서는 나저 산지기 춘조도 주바다. 문에 상제 말해. 대인도 대파도 조 가스나더니 땡인선 써야 돼. 다 텐데게 배 지레요 바지. 텐데게 편도 유배 성빈으로 또 바텔라. 되니 땡인선 쓰기래. 에스테 조 따외 돈을 쓰는 게 있어래. 와야.
So it says here that if we have this profound realization of the mind, that is also the absence of arising, meaning that if we have the profound realization of the mind, we don't have to take birth again in samsara. And next it says it is the absence of it is the absence of arising, it is the absence of continuation. So continuation means here that we have to take birth again and again. Then it says it is the knowledge of continuation, meaning that at present we don't know how we are born in samsara. We don't know all the causes and conditions that caused us to be born in the way we were born here. Knowledge of continuation here means that if we have the realization of the mind, then we will know how this whole process of rebirth works. It also says it is putting down the burden. It will also lighten our burden of all the sufferings that we have in cyclic existence. It further says it is the wisdom of the Tathagatas. So this wisdom of the Tathagatas is something that we already have within us from beginningless time, but so far we haven't realized it. But if we have the profound realization of the mind, we will also realize that we have this wisdom of the Tathagatas. So meaning we will realize our Buddha nature. Then it says it is having the preeminence of a Buddha. And that means that if we have the profound realization of the mind, we will actually become Buddhas. We will attain Buddhahood. So here, until here, the Buddha explains all the benefits of having this profound realization of the mind. And he does so mainly in terms of a view, of the pure view.
Atene matene decha sowata shedan yewer shewata la soba mambo sonyungdo tatene matunda son dordun ta zo chutim number tawa te tingen senre es te zo sonyungdo ta chutim sonyungdo zane karin doji gurusana 출 죽고야 기 산지기 공방 토비알라 죽고야 카리임바티 양타와 랑 줌메초바 카리임바티 파빵 텐데기 랑돌 양타바 제바들 추점 송거로 대치도 전에 근데 랑돌 양타바 제바데 되는 땡은생에 소용이다 대도 전에 저 추점부터는 먼저 신나요도와 근데 대인도 텐데당 근데 대나신도 아지 담배기 추 양타바 송와 송줍지야당 대신도 되네 개외신인 남라배지 대바당 그바지야당 드네 대나신도 르sem게 르게 심체는 네밤메바 sem게 심체는 뇌sem메바 대나신도 깨져시나야 깨전 잠부름하와 라소바단도나 추첨된들에게더니 쥐바 차상을 송도 전에 텐데기 쥐바 남버타와 가인바 대양 그래 땡은전레스 대인도 출도 두와이나 따완 남버타와당 쥐바 남버타와 니보 가인바 대라 그래 땡은전스라브레스 대송바다
And then the Buddha continues, he says, the profound realization of the mind is the healing of desire, the pacifying of anger, and the elimination of ignorance, and so forth. He goes on for a couple of lines here. And in short, what the Buddha explains here is that that samadhi is pure disciplined conduct. So he also explains that disciplined conduct means to understand what has to be accomplished and to also at the same time know what has to be rejected. So it is so samadhi is explained here as knowing what to accomplish and what to avoid or what to reject. And that is nothing else than disciplined conduct. So, he says here, disciplined conduct means to have faith and respect to the teacher, to not to harm sentient beings, neither with your body nor with your mind, and so forth. So he explained different ways of practicing this disciplined conduct. But in essence, it is really knowing what to accomplish and what to reject. And thus we can see that in this passage, the Buddha first explains samadhi in terms of pure view, and then he explains it in terms of pure disciplined conduct. So we can say that samadhi here is pure view and pure disciplined conduct.
다테네 디오테네 마 산제기 주 직제의 돈에 가르송인 거였으나 다텐데 인도 녜테네 다지 산제 코랑게 남준 주 간데지 송바 있나양 텐데기 따와당 주반 남버타베 추딩의 시기요레스 베나 따웨게 돈을 선동당와 있나 추코랑게 장신 내루카레인 받은 게 시제기요레스 템 추코랑게 장신 내루카레인 받은 간저 공지는라 추근 시상 밥지 내루 땡 송고요와 산지기 주시도 전에 대난신 단단 디는한테 송도한데 추게 장신 진짜 대신 시에스这些呢对吧 얘네 두지 고양 rab도 체스 제 자세히 양타고 된도스 얘네 추지 고양 rab도 체 세르도에
Sutra tambudiru.
세도 모델 가른다 데레 얘네 두지 고양 rab도 체 추게 장시 진짜 대신 시에 송도와 텐드 얘네 두지 고양 rab도 체스도 전에 다 두진데 산지기 공방 대시로와 되게 당보그 gond로데 가스나 수준 넘버다 와대 대시도 네추 가르시게 이노야 두지기 고난신게 수준 넘버다 와대 개침보이 와 당보시유스 니바데 따원 넘버다 와대 게시유스 가인스나 추게 장신진다 대신시스 추 고난게 내룩한데 임바데 양다마 또고레 스능에 땡모주치유스 tene sumba de la chu tamjegi jeluk jetang de kandere jewa kandere ngaba kandere tensungye yangdawa shigiyus jewa tajang jindang ye dendes jewa tasu jewa o tenanshin gawa nawa jewa la soba tensugi nesur kande imbange tengiyus kama de la 냥엔 데바 평행 제버시스 땡디 제와 다진 진당에 땡스는 코르웨게 내중에 땡겨 요세게로와 냥엔 데바 평행 제버시스 냥데게 내중에 시게 요스 돈나 따와당 제반 넘버다바 니게 토네 코로와단 양에는 대변에 내수로 간다 임박되는 게 대시 제기스 대인도 전에 다주 남부타와 니라 때네 되는 산재가 뭐 도구래 대송발에
And then there is a verse which is taught by the Buddha to Chandraprabha. And here the Buddha says, I have opened the door to the elixir. I have explained what the nature of phenomena is. These are the first two lines. So the first line is, I have opened the door to the elixir. And the elixir here is nothing else but Buddhahood. So the Buddha here says that he first opens the door to Buddhahood, and this opening of the door to Buddhahood is the so this opening of the door to Buddhahood is done by teaching disciplined conduct. So that is what the Buddha here says, what he teaches first. Then he says, I teach or I explain what the nature of phenomena is. So that is the view. That is the view and the realization of the nature of phenomena. So first he teaches disciplined conduct, then he teaches which is conduct, and then he teaches the view. And next he says, I have taught what birth are. So birth here also includes birth, aging, sickness, and death. So he next explains what samsara is, what cyclic existence is. And then in the last line, he says, I have explained nirvana and its benefits. So then he teaches what nirvana is. So in summary, we can say that by means of teaching pure conduct and pure view, the Buddha explains the nature of samsara and nirvana.
Di sholoka de trinje den songung gata gungba nashin cheyon de sane ndege tene sanjegi chungkuru sumge rimba de tembarta kansana thambo ngene duze goyan rabdo che songung de sane laba churumge laba jeje zo chene tene denji gi chugun kolak soba thambo den rowa chugu goche thambo denji chungur rowa denshi chungu nala ndurwa tsamadi denshi chungu nala ndurwa yore laba tsurunga laba denshi chungu tane tegi jesu chugi rangshin jinda deshin she jewa tajang jinda ngay tende saya tsignibo tegi chungu parba chudam jegi rangshin tongba nide kante yinba de she tane jewa yoba da meba la soba tensonya kante yinba tane shegi yoyosa kolo parbe nala chudam jegi rangshin tongni yinba soni 다들은 타마데라 시와 냥엘렌 데베 공방 시와 냥엘렌 데베 연대 텐소도 제바 시바들은 콜로 타메긴도데 송거와 대인도 전에 네 되는 콜로 좀 숨기 돈에 되는 제바 남라타와다 따와 남라타와 오 되는 제운 남라타와 오 텐데게 돈은 되는 야람 티유스 대지도 전에 다 대다고 돈 또바텔라 땡은생이 제고스라 그래 스테송바레
Chuba
tawa jeunamda.
And if we look at this verse here, then Jigten Sumgön also explains that all the three wheels of Dharma are contained or are explained in this single verse. So when the Buddha says, I have opened the door to the elixir, we have already said this teaches mainly disciplined conduct. And disciplined conduct is the main topic of the first wheel of Dharma. the wheel, the Dharma wheel of the Four Truths. So this is also the first among the three trainings, the training of disciplined conduct. And then the next two lines, when the Buddha says, I have explained what the nature of phenomena is, I have taught what births are, then this also, according to Jigten Sungön, teaches the second wheel of Dharma, which is the middle wheel on the teaching on emptiness. So these two lines teach the middle wheel of Dharma, and the third wheel is taught in the next line when the Buddha says, I have explained nirvana and its benefits. So that is the here it refers to the third wheel of Dharma. So altogether we have the pure view, first pure conduct, then pure view, and then the result.
Tatene dewa tanema ta tetewu kolusum ki juja nyingbo tawatan juban number tabe tingin zinde kanre chila tene togire ro penna tene kansa kanre chila tingin zin jula je le law chagire kansa kanre chila tingin zin jula je kale ka bu chagire di korte ma sungen ro tin du zane ta thambo tingin zin ni kale kabu mara espena kansa ndendegin tunjen zombe kansa ji yina tingin zin ni kale kabu mara es tendu tanan ne sumbe tingin zin de jula je gu yena chachen de zom go res te son ngata.
Yeah, so here in this verse, all the topics, or one could also say the essence of the three wheels of Dharma is contained in these lines. And then next, the Buddha explains how to attain this samadhi. So until here, he taught that the samadhi we're talking about here is the combination of pure view and pure conduct. And now the question comes up, how can one attain this kind of samadhi, which is the union of pure view and pure conduct? And so he explains, or he answers the question for whom it is difficult to attain this kind of samadhi, for whom it is easy to attain this type of samadhi, and what are the favorable conditions that we need if we want to attain this samadhi.
Tatanda tingin zingi jerbo segona and chaja chimbugo toba segona and yana chachin chutim ne jibu toba segona and tat tindegi tingin zinde jula jevar chebala tambu ke cheshu de dikbe tobo tabar pangures tobo ngemba dan te songa ina di wangi juban number madawa chayungre juban number madawa tene tawa chinjiloba chayungre ti induzane ta ke cheshu de tawa dan juba chinjilo yunkengi tobo ngemba dan so ni pangures rimba tambode tendu ndega dikbe tobo siduzane tawa chinjiloba juba chinjiloba yunkengi tobo dan so pangures tarin so gore sumbarda.
So next, the Buddha explains the first step you have to take if you want to realize the king of samadhis, or in other words, the vital point of Mahamudra and disciplined conduct. And the first step here, according to the Buddha, is to give up bad friends. Bad company. So that is because if you keep bad company, then your conduct will become impure. And if your conduct becomes impure, then your view will also become impure. And therefore, the first step is to give up bad company.
Tene Nyima tela gewe shinye la nyimbar cha sondwa. Ta ngarang su tene chi susu jiwo tangbo kone tene chi ta tawa tang jeba yabu kare yimi dubu kare yimi ngome sheba chire ngome shinkenchi. Tene jedang ke namjun tawa tang jeba duwa tansone chiya le lao yore. Rwa samno tang tang duwa tansone le lao samno tang tugure. Jeba duwa tansone lamsang che tugure. Tendu tende 인도 간수지 따와당 죄받은 뭐 메신ken지 인도 잔에 따띵 모양 다바 땡ken기 게외신이 양 다바 땡고래 송바로와 게외신이나 녀버차 녀버스도네 될 땡고래 해야 되러와 니바데 또 단지 참들한도 쇼로가 니바데 일대가나 니바데
And so the first advice given by the Buddha here was to avoid sinful companions, bad company. And the second advice is to be in the company of good companions. And that is because at first we don't know what we have to practice and what we have to avoid, what is good behavior, what is bad behavior, and so forth. And it is always much easier to have improper conduct and or impure conduct and impure views. That is always much easier. So therefore, we need someone who can give us a good example and who can teach us how to practice. And therefore, it is the next step is that you keep the company of good companions, of virtuous friends.
Te indu zane tene jiten songo Gongchig nangla tene kare songbarasana da Gongchig la liu ka kashe yorwa te indu zane tagum jube ki liu gongola tene de songdo tene tawa dan gomba jeba tenzo nambar tawa chaya la tene churang chude pe laman tsengi da demba jigne jigdo ba juye jebe chude 냠술랭의 개침물에스 주바야고 유비 주의 개침물에 송도와 대단한데 개외신이라야 템버차스 다 집어차는 거로 주바세 인도선에 현다 요 말에 라만 천인다 덴바 찍네 지도마 주제와들 주바세로 대인도선에 다 라만 천인다 덴바 선도 개외신이래 대인도 대라트네 땡고레스 네 송용도와 텐데인도 대단한 같이 차려 되네 이바 단단데 저번 제대로 가르송 말씀은 전에 찾아진 그 또바 당 저번 남으로 타봐 단수 줄을 제발라 차ချင်း개체슈니 요레스 튼chen 개체슈니 즉 가르스나 라만천인다 된 바지 고야 돼 차친 당보레스 라만천인다 된 바지 매와이나 되네 주랑 그 줄라 따금 줘봐 남으로 타봐시 제토 말레스 텐드 라만 천인다 된 바지 고레스 대송용도와 대인도 전에 되네다다 개외 신인랑야 템버차서야 단속이 되네 라만 천인다 된 바지 고레스 야 되는데 밥사 찔러 파는 거요래 괜찮니 말은 찔러쇼
And in the single intention, in Jiten Sungan's single intention, there's one chapter called the chapter on view, practice or meditation and conduct. And in this chapter, Jigten Sungön also says that if you practice the Dharma, or it is actually the first statement in this chapter, he says that in order to properly practice the Dharma, what you need first is a teacher, an authentic teacher who possesses a lineage, so who comes from a lineage, a transmission lineage. And that such an authentic teacher is the virtuous friend that the Buddha is talking about here in the sutra. And secondly, Jigten Sungön also says in the single intention that if you want to give rise to Mahamudra and pure conduct, then the first favorable condition that you need is an authentic teacher.
Geweshini sayate shingurwa dipeshini de tsinida medembare geweshini de tsinida dembare tendu lama tsin dembachi gore sayate geweshini sayate tengurwa tan tunji niba de karsana tane yang geweshini tsin dembachi yoba ina yang ngarang ngone tebadan mugun pusun sobaji meba ina yang toba jule je tuyo mare tendu toba jeta mugu kona yin sra so yin wa gong chin na toba jewe tamam zo ji mugu yin ta de kare teng yu sum da nyen bar cha song do dik teng yu da anzo gewe shin la nyen go re song do tem bar cha go re song do ten se ndu sa ne gewe shin nge zo po de teng go ma re gewe shin la nge thogo de teng go ma re chi chen gewe shin la shira shira na ya me na nge thogo ten ha pen to yo ma wa tendu nyembarcha sidusane geweshini la yonten tongwe tone 대바당 무의 돈에 땜버차 구레스 다디 차진이 된 종윤도 전에 더니 차자침부 도바줄 제용을 대인도 전에 된대게 강사되라 차자침부 도바지에 갈래하고 말에 숨겼던 소라 디베 초보빵 geweshini 땜버체바이나 차자침부 도바지에 갈래하고 말에스 야나 따완 넘버 따바다 쥐반 넘버 따바 차야 갈래하고 말에스 어때 숨겨래
So an authentic teacher, an authentic Lama here would be the good companion that the Buddha talks about. And the opposite, a Lama or a teacher who is not authentic would be the sinful companion we were talking about in the first line of this verse here. So, that is the first step, that one has to avoid sinful companions or also teachers, and to be in the second step then is to be in the company or to rely on good companions, on virtuous friends. And in this second line here, we also see what we can see what Jigten Sungön speaks about as the second favorable condition that you need in order to realize Mahamudra. He says the first is the authentic teacher who possesses lineage, and the second condition is one's own faith and devotion. So even if you meet an authentic teacher, but you don't have devotion for this teacher, then there's no way you can realize Mahamudra. So therefore, this is the second condition that is needed according to Jigten Sungön, one's own faith and devotion. And therefore, it is said here in the sutra, one be in the company of good companions. Another way of translating this line would be to rely on good companions. And to rely on good companions doesn't mean relying on the Lama with your body. So it is not that you rely on, like you rely on the lama or the master with your stomach. So you hope to get food from the lama to fill your stomach or something. But it's what is meant here with relying on the lama is that you rely on the lama with a mind of devotion. And then the Buddha explains it is not difficult to realize the king of samadhis. In other words, it is not difficult to realize pure view and pure conduct.
다 되네 디토라 다동 가르고르스 차체 다땡인제 양 답을 줄지 양 튼진 다동 가르고르스나 도바방데 나트 내 자신 송도와 다소소기 대세긴 고리우드 송게로와 고리우데 가르스나 도바방데 메마부 냠도 대대바이나 테네야 계자시 텐데체네 간다르지 땡인생기 자부도 검투 마레스 섬근고라 따투 마레스 텐두자네 냠든 도와파 빵네 소소 찍부 낙트 야나 네 웬바 텐데 지가트네 대고레 네 웬바 땡고레 송바레 텐데치 땡 테네야 고 네 웬바 찍부를 되네 팽마와 네 웬바라 배치 차단 지부든 소에 네 웬바라 요로와 요레 텐두자네 딴네 웬바라 렙네 가르치고르스나 심지어 탐체 대화단 데머런 되베 참배기 셈데 양네 양도 곰고레스 데 곰바이나 디토비기 드니처럼 땡인제 양타고 줄지야 팽게레스 참배선 따도 곰버차 스테송.
And then in the next line, the Buddha mentions another condition that is important if you want to realize the samadhi, namely to avoid crowds. He says here, dwell in the forest, avoiding crowds. So this is talking about the environment that you need for your practice. If you dwell in crowds, then there's a lot of talking, gossiping, and so forth, and it will not be possible for you to focus on your practice and your meditation. And you won't be able to look at the nature of your mind. Therefore, it is important to rely on a place of solitude. And that alone, again, is also not enough, because we can see that many birds and other animals, they do dwell in places of solitude, but they not necessarily also attain the realization of the samadhi. And therefore, the Buddha says here, and always meditate with a loving mind. So when you have found such a place of solitude, then what you have to do there is that you meditate on a loving mind for all sentient beings.
Tene ti tengdo sutim taba tado song chede songdo ta tene choran tene genyengi domba yueba ina genyengi domba yabo songs getrugi domba shuba ina getrugi domba yabo songs gelhongu domba ta demba ina gelhongu domba ta yabo songs sutim yabo kase taba chana 되게 wange chaja chenbo tawa ta yang taba chato gres tene sutim taba tado song chede tene te maase 소외긴 튠진 tenso양 be 하장 그 뚜바 침보 마체스 장라 가와 따도 토바차 송도와 장배연대 중리에서 여러 남주 소와데스 be 하장 그 뚜바 제바 마임바 소와든 직점 제도롱제스 tene te maase 동화단의 시럽댄스 동화스도 전에지 다양 소소라 세단 그단 내면 튠진 예바이나 되게 나네 야지신 심chen urboten solo ko jimba tanya ya tes tona ches tene shirab yang taba yule je la yang bechon ches ta tendegi tunjen chasang jeng zom songwa ina tene tingen jeng je bunde yule je kale kan yo mares me tende chila tingen jeng ransing je yong re sombare tendu tingen dene yebar kamen jus ta tela so song do wa tende jang ta tenso te de zo tingen jeng je bu je la Chachin Karikara Sangu, you mean Tikon and Duji, what in the Jimbares.
And next, the Buddha says, always protect pure conduct. So that is the next thing we have to do. That means that if you have, for example, the lay vows, then protecting pure conduct means protecting your lay vows. If you have the vows of a novice, then it means protecting your novice vows. And if you're a fully ordained monk or nun, then it means to protect the vows of fully ordained monks and nuns. So in essence, it is said here that when you practice pure disciplined conduct, then that will also be a favorable condition for you to realize the Samadhi, or realize the pure view and pure conduct. Then it says, gain the prosperity of renunciation. So that means that you don't strive too much for gaining possessions and so forth, but that you're content with what you have. And then it says, be familiar with generosity and wisdom. So this also means that whatever you have, you should be content with that, and you should also share it with others who are in need of the things that you have. Then the Buddha says, if all these conditions come together, then this Samadhi will not be difficult to attain. So until here, the Buddha explains what conditions have to be in place in order to give rise to the Samadhi. So maybe we have a break here.
A short break, 10 minutes?
Yeah.
10 minutes, okay. So 10 minutes, we come back. But actually, we keep on. It's just 10 minutes, so we will continue. I will share a video just for 10 minutes.
Mani beme hum, 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 mani beme hum. Mani beme hum, 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 mani beme hum. Mani beme hum, 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 mani beme hum. Mani beme hum, 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 mani beme hum. Mani beme hum, 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 mani beme hum. Mani beme hum, 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 mani beme hum. Mani beme hum, 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 mani beme hum. Mani beme hum, 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 mani beme hum. Mani beme hum, 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 mani beme mani beme hum, 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 mani beme hum.
Bueno, está. Anda, Nyima. Eso. 네, 다 Gongchig nangla tenen jeten song kar sumbarsna chachin sutum neji chebar chu saya tsiji yungurwa chachin sutum neji chebar chu sumbar de song de sane jidan tane tandan de ta pyogi keban namji songsul kar yore sana chachin saya te tawe ki toni keja chigre sutum saya te jube ki keja chi indu sane tene tawadan juban yibote chi kaga yinban rochi tene sono tane tawa sayate juba tamjita chawachi res juba sayate jubadan jebachi res juba yun Khenchen wa juche res techi du sane juba mebadan jubada jeba yibote pensun mentenba res tein du sane chachenda tsudum yibote ta kaga res sayate pyo긴 kebegi ta yesul tendeji 용비요래. 네, 단 제대로 성공소는 되잖아요. 차제전보다 수렴세야 니보테 밥사 찌개 돌아 밥도 가지고 요래. 군이 내 찍어래스. 대체도잖아요. 차칭 수렴 내지 인세야 개체지 송나와로 완전히 송을 제주 갑라. 뭔지나 대인도 단디 되는 제대로 송을 투명만이 제주 차송하래. 차칭 수렴 찍어래서야 돼. 제대로 송을 투명만이 제주지. 인도 되는 디 송디 콩도 산다고데 가와라 때는 또 연구해서나 너 땡인지 제벌로 두 연구였다. 차자 전보다 수점 내 지발에서는 너 땡진지를 보는 거 쏘는 거예요. 대인도 이제 된 성공기 너 땡인쟁이 제부 공부 이자 전에 근데 차진의 수점 내 지발이 어다 뒤거는 데는 맞는 지 쉬워이나
And so now we come to our second point in our second topic in our outline. And here it is said in the single intention that it says that Mahamudra and disciplined conduct are one, is an unsurpassed special teaching of Jigten Sunburn. So this is what is said in the Gongchig, in the single intention. And the general view of Tibetan scholars on this point is that Mahamudra and disciplined conduct are two completely separate and different things. So they say that Mahamudra is concerned with view, and disciplined conduct is concerned with conduct. So, and they further say that Mahamudra is something that is free from elaboration, and disciplined conduct is something that possesses elaboration. So for that reason, they say that Mahamudra and disciplined conduct are two completely separate things. And Jigten Sunburn, on the other hand, says that Mahamudra and disciplined conduct come down to the same vital point. Therefore, it is said here in the Gongchig that Mahamudra and disciplined conduct are one. And this is said to be an unsurpassed and special teaching of Jigten Sunburn. And now the source for Jigten Sunburn's view on Mahamudra and disciplined conduct is in fact the Sutra, the King of Samadhi Sutra. So he is, Jigten Sunburn is following here the intention of the King of Samadhi Sutra when he says that Mahamudra and disciplined conduct are one.
단지된 성공기 최신의 수렴 지발에 해야 돼. 콩대 노팅인 진짜로 두요래. 근데 준생 현다 진지된 성공 가르친 거에서는 변나더네 따와당 주반 냠술래는 냠년 체윤도 자네. 근데 따와 양다바지 줄을 제야라. 근데 토마를 개치슈디 주바야고지 시치고 요래스. 바르도 따와 줄을 제처를 제라 디 준종야데 주바양 타바지기 준장고 요래스. 근데 인도 따와 되게 로바 연에면한테 주바양 타바드레스. 디 인도 전에 주바 추첨 되게 따와라더니 제가 조체바 로바체바 대나 현도드네 주바 추첨 넘버 타바지 차구요나 따와양 타바지 구요레스. 인도 따와 되게 수정나라고 제발 대치도 전에 따와당 주반예보대 빼나 힘이 냠도 내려지네 야 지기질을 떼내야 랑샤와나신 그리고 힘이 내려지네 야 랑와이나 계신 데메와 차송와이나 대신의 마신도 그래 데메와 차송와이나 대신의 파신도 이만 하신도 전에 따와당 주반이 지기 좋지네 레변도 전에 근데 산지그 공방 델라도 톱도바 어떤지 우여래 스테이지도 전에 근데 차친의 수준 내 지바인 스테이지의 송교를 좀 세.
So the source, the textual source for Jigten Sunburn's statement that Mahamudra and disciplined conduct are one is the Samadhi Raja Sutra, the King of Samadhi Sutra. But there's another reason for Jigten Sunburn to say this. because if we want to practice pure view, then in order to do that, it supports our practice if we first also maintain a pure disciplined conduct. And also, once we have gained the insight into the pure view, when we continue to practice that, then what helps us to maintain the pure view is also disciplined conduct. So therefore, disciplined conduct supports the practice of the pure view. And also the other way around, if you have a pure view, that also supports your practice of pure disciplined conduct. So therefore, view and conduct are like two wooden sticks that support each other. If you take one stick away, then the other will just the other will just collapse. And so it is, Jigten Sumren compares these two, view and disciplined conduct to two wooden sticks, and says if you possess these two sticks, these two elements, then it is easy to attain Buddhahood.
Tinashin tanda yang labaru penang anzo tene melong chig nang la anzo sungni de pe tang dongba la je shegola tayung kapsu tene pai tene shergu ge nang la dongba ya bo ji sewo jing tong tubar cheba la chachin ni changgu yorwa chachin ni changgu re ji kargo rusna tambu kecheshu de pai tene melong am yana shergu de yo me bachi gurwa ko kujo jab dengen do jende yu dengen da china ina nga zo dongba de yago jin tong to marwa ko shar de nga zo me ta to mar ko yu de rwa melong na ko te yu de re ten de tambo ko ji melong ina da shirgo ina te pe tempo chi gu yorwa ziba nga tempo chi njar de bachi gure yo ma bachi tene niba de da kesi pe na melong de bai ziba nga la pan jan ne tempo chi yo ba ina yang melong ge teng la 타방 그 대바 melong 짱마지 매송아 이나 되냐 존니데 샤투 말에 텐데 짱마 임바지 구요래 베티나 신체네 되네 당보 베나 melong 템보 그바나지 주름양다고 되네 melong 짱마 그바나지 따와양다고 텐데기 melong 템보당 melong 짱만 얘기 차진된 좀바이나 되네 디나라 존니 셀브 상도바나 신체네 따와단 죄바 템보 따와 짱마 근데 요소가 있나 되네 다단데 단데우 산제기 거대 존니다고도 그 샤투야여 가지 근데 인손도 자네야 차체나 주름니고데 내가 찌를 바고래 삼바고 근데 제 용거요래 되래
수구단 주군
데우 주고 스난다 데우 군이
And a further example is the example of a mirror. So if you have a mirror and you want to see your face, an image of your face clearly in that mirror, then there are two conditions that have to come together. First, the mirror has to be put somewhere, like fixed on a wall or somewhere, so that it is stable. If the mirror is moving all the time, then there's no way you can see a clear image in the mirror. So that is one condition. The mirror has to be stable. And the second condition is that the mirror also has to be clean. If the mirror is not clean, if it is dirty, then again, there is no way you can see a clear image in that dirty mirror. So these two conditions are compared to disciplined conduct and view. So the stable mirror is the example for stable disciplined conduct, and the clean mirror is stands for the pure view. So these are the two conditions that you need for the two bodies of the Buddha, for the resultant two bodies of the Buddha to arise. You need a stable disciplined conduct and you need the pure view.
다 텐데 인도잖아요. 텐데 산제기 가서 말하잖아. 단지 공도 다 땡인 생이 잘보세야지 송송 텐데 따완 넘버 타고는 주반 넘버 타고 하세야지. 대체도 전에 텐데기 따완 넘버 타고기 땡인 대 동리 공부대 텐데 주반 넘버 타고지 여바이나 텐데 따완 넘버 타고 대장신의 용거레스. 대마도 주반 넘버 타고지 매송아이나 가두이나요 거지 다 찾아친구 내로 또야는 배춘 제바이나요 되기 되는 양타고지 또두 말에스 대인도 따와다 주반이고대 찌기 조찌기래 소마 대치도 사는 데는 돈 되기나라 근데 송도와 띵진저고 동반 대금바 수점 다변 골라 텐두대 주는 라신 따도 냠샤나 지반 메릭 준비 미시 소세 지 송도와 Nyima 되게 나왔다지. 어딘 거든.
당부대.
당부되는.
So the Buddha has taught here that the Samadhi consists of pure view and completely pure conduct. And he further explained that, or explains here that in order to realize the completely pure view, which is nothing else than emptiness, you need to have completely pure conduct. If you have completely pure conduct, then the completely pure view will naturally arise. And on the other hand, if you don't have pure conduct, then no matter how hard you try to realize emptiness or pure view, you won't be able to attain it. Therefore, pure view and pure conduct support each other. And on that, it is said in the Sutra, the meditation of this king of samadhis, emptiness, is at the summit of pure conduct. The continuous meditation on the nature of phenomena is unknown to the foolish who practice incorrectly.
다른데 인도산에 제가 변나 드는가서 남주에 제 곰자 스테나신도 드는 제 찾아친구 곰바 세야지 장맥이 하고 여러와다 공부 배자 첨부지리 다 자신 공부를 해야지 용거와 대인도 텐도 찾아 첨부부터 공부를 제발라 당분간은 저기 르당 아다 이숨보테 장만도 차tum나 배는 르기고는 소제바다 마진발렘바다 로엠당 대난신 나가토는 준 참아 직접 난처를 한다다 Tene yegi napsum nesum lokta. Ta tenson roji mambuji nganzo la yue deba yinam. Tene te yuebe ki jumsenji nganzo lunga yisumbote zoba chayam gurwa. Tenane labodo sem zoba chayam gure. Sem kase zoba chawa tesegi tene sem shivar ne matupa. Sem shivar ne matupa. Rawa sem zoba chayam gure sem shivar ne tumare. 네 남도랑 용거래 nyumong 제 용거래 된대게 남도다 nyumong 통도 가세 슈칭부 제 용아이나 대점지 드네 섬데 르르지는 네 못봐 섬근나라 드네지 인죄섬제야 섬근나라 드네지 딱 가래는 잠은다 배 나서가진 토용으로와 Teacher Zane, then Lunga Yesum was this Zama Chaswaina, then it tell a dene, also the Chaching Gongchig and Shine Gunguna and Kandar Gomgtoro Koranjing, Lemdroyachi, Yungurua, or Tindu, Tene Tatandi, that Zote, Chajachimbu, Gumdu Yankin, Chajachimbu, Gumgu, some king Kansachina, Tambo, Lunga Yesum Zanserchiate. Catching what the child is or tell it.
So we usually talk a lot about meditating on Mahamudra, practicing Mahamudra, and to do that, in order to do that successfully, it is really important to purify your body, speech, and mind. Otherwise, if you act in an impure way with your body, like you kill or steal, or you perform sexual misconduct and so forth, or also if you act impurely with your speech, that is by lying, slander, harsh words, gossip, and so forth, or if you act impure with your mind, with being have bad intentions and wrong views and so forth, then your mind will, like your body, speech, and mind will be impure, and that will cause more afflictions to arise. So you won't, if more afflictions arise in your mind, then you won't be able to properly rest in meditation, because your mind will always be agitated, and there will be lots of regrets and worries in your mind. And on the other hand, if your mind becomes pure by practicing like virtuous actions of body, speech, and mind, then meditation, like the meditation or the concentration of Shine, of Mahamudra, and so forth, will naturally arise in your mind. So if you if you want to practice Mahamudra, and a very important advice is that you first try to purify your body, speech, and mind as much as possible.
Tende lunga yesum zangma tegi gana leyun de zane tene yang mikse gechi tandan de sondo tsigang sumba tenanga chuenam rangshin da de nyamsha sa tsi de wa tanda ti tsigang niwa tenara wa de dingzin jer bo dongban de gomba chutum daben golan denduk des tene chuenam rangshin da de nyamsha na sa tsi de wa chuenam rangshin da de nyamsha sa de tsi de be ko chi chimbure 먼저 찾으신 부분들 전에 대백에서 주역이 돌아서 당고 말에 송도와 마음의 주역이 돌아서 당고 말에 송도와 단답에게 생긴 거고 따고 그래 소연이다와 대든 din이 된다지 말에 가서나 추는게 장신되라 대바요 말에 추듬제게 장신나 닌 대바에서 해야지 요 말에 추듬제게 장신나 네 마음벌에서 해야지 요 말에 가에서나 추듬제게 장신의 가서나 단단가랑 속에 생긴 내로들에 단답에 생긴 내로들 단단가랑 속에 생긴 내로들이 내도 소화이나 근데 최담제게랑신 찾아진부 공부하세요 대차소래 근데게 최담제게랑신 찾아진부 대가는 내 소화이나 근데 룽아 예소랑신 디바 타로 요래 장마 차로 요래 수tum 넘버 타로 요래 대지다 코니 로바 차소아 담보변에 근데게 지 냠버샤 투야데 룽아 예소 장마지 고도와 수tum으로 같이 용도와 다 텐데 냠버샤 툼르도 전에 야 룽아 예소 그 쩐데 디바 탐체 매와 찬데 다노도와 텐데 따와게 수tum으로 같이도와 대인자 수tum당 차진이고데 펜션 찍이지는 내 집어래 해서야다 너 땡인생이 잡고 쇼로가 되기 때문에 땡겨요래 Tende imbate chiba merik songdo chiba tenzo ga haku yo mares. Tene nganzo pe otsuk janan bezon che deba ina tengen zege nelu ngoma de shentu mares. Tele chutum yang taba je song sim zeji do nyambar ja songwa ina tene chutum je nelu chaja chimbo to tugures te songdo wan dere.
So it is only when your body, speech, and mind have become pure that you can realize the nature of your mind and also the nature of phenomena. And this is really a profound statement here in this verse in the third line when it is said, the continuous meditation on the nature of phenomena is unknown to the foolish who practice incorrectly. So the nature of phenomena here is also something that is always only that only exists in the presence. Like if you think of events in the past or you anticipate the future, then that will never be the you will never attain the realization of the nature of phenomena, because the nature of phenomena is something that can only be realized in the present moment. Here we can and then it is said that this nature of phenomena is unknown to the foolish. So the foolish are here the childish people, the worldly people. And it is said that they will never know this nature of phenomena. We can see here in this verse again that meditation or meditation or meditative equipoise is something that is supported by a pure view, and also the other way around, a pure view is something that supports meditative equipoise. This becomes very clear here in this verse.
Tene da tenro tene tanandi chaja chimbu ki nelu tegangla tene si ne tu songa ina tene da chi mese gi lunga gi gejul la so bal tene zonggo ya me ba changru re ro chidang tangbo ngarang so lunga gejul zonggo re cho sa go re deba janggo re kandon che go re lu gi chang che go re chebam bulgo re so sonam cho se ro 다 계승한 저 텐데게 쓰는 거 초야고 사 수tum 다지 매개와 쪽방에 수tum이랑 다와 송 텐데 전에 텐데 찾아 전부 동양고지 고민도 전에 텐데 문에게 곰 톱송아이나 텐데게 qabla 텐데 디 곰 대가랑 준장에 텐데 로 토바이나 템밥 이용함에 돈에 대가랑 곰 준장은 로 토바이나 텐데야 룽하게 텐데 양지 배수로 고야 매래 류기 되네 제 가서로 찬세와 라소바양 고 말에 나게 강돈 대주 제바양 고 말에 대탐지 느바데 곰제와들 창조요래 대인도 곰잠 못베기 강사기 강돈된 고래 초사고래 다텐데 곰이 아버지 잡토 송아이나 대라테네 초사바양 곰제바데래 대신도 최반부로양 곰잡토바데래 찬세와양 곰잡토바데래 대인도 전에 텐데인도 다보름 부채기 가르송 발스나 까르보지도 송도와 찾아침부 공바텔라 까르보지도스 까르보지도스도 지단 맨지가 맹데 까르보지도스 딥멘데게 나사망보지라 펜도요레 테난신 전에 찾아침부 공토송이나 디바양 찾아침부 공발되는 다도요레 테난신도 차한세와양 찾아진보 금발라 창조요래. 최반부와양 찾아진보라 창조요래. 너나 이엔라 든베게 초소 용수 조바데 차진 금발라 창조요 송고요래. 대인도 전에 딘탄한데 내 송베게 땡인증이 제보디 양타와지 검송와 이남 게와 탐제 되는 돈도래. 세 대송래.
And when you are able to rest in the realization of Mahamudra, then at that point there is no need to put any effort in practicing virtuous deeds with your body, speech, and mind. So to avoid the 10 non-virtuous actions and to practice the 10 virtuous actions is first a method of for like realizing Mahamudra. But when you have realized Mahamudra and you're able to rest in that state, then in that state there is no need for any other practices like doing prostrations or making offerings, reciting mantras, and so forth. If you're able to rest in the state of Mahamudra without any distraction, then no efforts in virtuous practices are needed. But if you don't know how to meditate and to rest in Mahamudra, then you need to practice all these virtuous deeds like making prostrations, offerings, and reciting mantras, and so forth. Then they are the means for you to realize Mahamudra and to learn how to meditate. That is also the reason why Gampopa speaks about Mahamudra as the so-called self-sufficient white remedy, because once you are able to rest in Mahamudra, then this resting in Mahamudra alone will purify all your negativities, and in this one practice, all other virtuous practice are complete. Therefore, it is in the Samadhi, in the King of Samadhis, also all virtuous actions are already contained.
대단히 심지 주 공배 라야지. 심지 주 공배 닌센도 양스 닌던 센도 양스 해야지 거. 닌센도 양지 된 거만 통스. 와 디강드는 간도 대단히 심지 주 공배스도에 대단히 심지 주 공배 닌센 도양지 된 거만 통스. 도 같은 다탄다 타고르면 송하나 신레 가서나 찾아진부 내루 양타고리 곰 송하이나 근데 가라이나 탐제들 창조래 스타트인데 평 침부지래서 송바와 다든는 도있는데 송도와 대다르스 다 창조 선바 대기 심지 주 곰배 송도와 심지 주스는 한서 심게 내루 어다 찾아진부 되는데 양 타고리 곰 톱송하이나 드니페 년단 생 탐제라 산제 탐제기 현재 도리 송바래 산제 현재스를 전에 먼저 산제 변나 강산으로 지금 동반 통계를 쓰게 말와 문에게 산제 취직구의 모두 다 통계레스 가인세나 산제 취직구 대랑 나랑게 섬근 모원이보다 탐에 대바래 대인도 전에 섬근 내루그 때나 양다바지 냠버샤 투송아이나 대가랑 산제 취국이 때는 냠버샤 송아래 된대인도 성근 내용 통화야 텔레세계를 산지 죽은 동화양 telesege 텐드산에 텐드르 텐네 심지 죽은베 년센도양지 된 것만 통스 같은소 평연시에 용비요래 제가 지금다 수좀 내지베기 냥내지 제투송화에는 평연되는 용거래 해야지
As Dapo Rinpoche of Gampopa has said, everything, all virtues are contained in the realization of Mahamudra. And there is one verse here which also teaches that here in the Sutra. And it says, in that way, through the mind's continuum of meditation, day and night, they see the Lord of the world. So the Buddha says here that in such a way, the bodhisattvas who meditate on the mind's continuum, that is, they meditate on Mahamudra, the nature of the mind, those bodhisattvas, day and night, see the Lord of the world, see the Buddha. And seeing the Buddha doesn't mean here to see an image of the Buddha or see his physical body or something like that, but it means to see the Buddha's Dharmakaya, his truth body. And that is possible because when you meditate on the mind's continuum, then if you realize the nature of your own mind, then that is not different from realizing the Buddha's Dharmakaya, because the Buddha's Dharmakaya and your own mind are one and the same. Therefore, it is nothing else than seeing the nature of your own mind when it is said you see the Lord of the world or see the Buddha. So here the sutra speaks of the benefits of practicing Mahamudra and disciplined conduct as one.
Any tesamase, tanganzo tandi 추첨 남으로다보다 찾아친구 그 따와 남으로다보다 근데지 주일에 제투 송아 이남 된탄다 산지 죽음 동그래 스테송바와 당연히 펜도 체슈데 차친기 곰야부 잡투 송아에는 펜도 체슈데 남솔로 로바 체슈데 가도 제투 그래서나 남소 강에 전부 진퇴를 된 로바 제투 그래 스타트 송인 거예요. 가인사나 당연한 솔로 강에 지단다면 망보요래 제 단단한서 순분 손에 유대가 감도 지내야 르는 나서 용을 강에 용거래 군 잠불은 지댕이 도당지로와 대나진도 고려긴 나라지 내단 담담만 보지기 잼베도네 강에 담담만 보지 용거래데 이나 텐조 강에 텐조 지단 고 강에 첨보던데 유초그래데 시외 동해에서 대랑도 선동와 있는 단대기지 나살라서 같은 강에 충충라고 지르대 대능도 강에 치슈라고 지 뇨다 치슈라고 지 이제다 체슈인도지 시외가로 인도잖아요. 된 단단한서 찾아친부 그때 지금 대도라 무바지지 대게 돌아 섬데 직대 내도 같은 데 차도바 이남 되네 마음바 시외가서 동해게 초라하고 되네요. 말에 대송게 드라마 가르손도서는 남식 때는 나식 메데네 실라투베 동해 초르중나 송도와 다 니마치글라스 남식 딱 된대게 찾아진 보통 공캔데 당연히 매지인도 나기로와 나초그래서 매대와 차 초그래 대 매대와 차네 당연히 시야가 두줄로 두배 값라 단 남주인다 지금 동해가 좋아 용거래 나왜 동해가 좋아 시외 동해 좋아 용거래데 이나 대가서 동해가 좋아 되게 아주 심리 요도 말다 배나 나산 나기래고 지 내기 리지인도 매대와지 용거래데 이나에 때 매대와 되게 아주 심게 내로도 두루당 두요 말해 대인도 동해가 좋아하던데 나왜 좋아지 중앙이나야 테니 남상 그 심게 내로가 내 tum네 테니 산제라 템바냠도 말해 산제 추지고 용어라 냠버샤바 텔레 Panyamro Mares. Tene kola nave dunge dan shewe dunge ke chorwan rabu chiwa degi ngamsu ke simde pa yongur chi to mares dunge chorwen chobra yongmin jo songdo dunge ke chorwa degi ngamsu simde pon rabu mares kasana simge nelu tingala nene yongdu zane tela tene samsam tsing tendeji pichu chigdwa tawe ke tsensa simbas sudu zane ngamsu maan rabu jagayo na 마로 제르산에 당나게 나 사자 다서 탕이 찌마지를 내봐이나 나 시야는 년가 침보래 사자 찌마지는 알레도요나 남가라 마 멘다 쇼세기리 예네 쇼세기리 요네 멘다 용세기리 잡을 멘다 용세기로와 따이네 앞에 종된데 배 차고된데 배지 파다도 참만 통돼서 출간하면 통에게 사자 배 잼보지가 나 랩톱 소와이나 드링ala nöba chi tugu mar ten du zane ten nanjin chaja chimbu ge tawa jule jeba de la tawe ge zensa simba segere zembu sa be ngune yabo sinso nanjin re ten du zane dunge ge chorwa tenso ge gangen tig mare este sondo wa
So one benefit taught by the Buddha here is that when you practice pure disciplined conduct and pure view, then you will see the Buddha, meaning you will see the Dharmakaya. So that is one benefit, but the greatest benefit that you will get is that, or it comes about when you are in trouble, when you have difficulties, when you experience difficulties. And this is taught in the next verse here. It says, when the time comes that they are sick and unwell and experience the suffering of dying, they will not lose their recollection of the Buddha. So that means that as long as we live in this world, we have the suffering of sickness and the suffering of being unwell. So there are many different kinds of difficult situations that we encounter as long as we have this body and as long as we live in this world. But the biggest among, or the most difficult among all these different sufferings is the suffering of dying. That is our biggest fear, our biggest worry, is related to our death. So therefore, if we have realized Mahamudra and we are able to maintain this realization of Mahamudra, then the biggest advantage, the greatest benefit of that view is that there will be no suffering at the time of death. Normally, when we are about to die, there will be a tremendous amount of suffering. But when we have the realization of, when we have realized Mahamudra and we are able to remain in that state, then our minds will not be distracted from the pain of suffering and death. From the pain of sickness and the suffering of death. We will be able to rest in the nature of our mind. That is really the greatest advantage. Our mind will not be disturbed, it will not be carried away by thoughts and so on. Therefore, sometimes the view is called like the protective wall or something in a like when the example is when we're in a battle and we're just standing in the middle of the battlefield, then we can be shoot from all different sides. So from the left side, someone can shoot us from the front, from the right, and so on. But if we have a protective wall around us, then we can see the enemy and we can shoot at the enemy, but the enemy will not be able to see us and shoot us. So that is the example for the pure view. If we have the pure view, then it is like our protective wall, so nothing will be able to disturb our minds.
Share peshinan sawore sana shiwala benjita jene teninga rituala tuyosi chimba yins rituala tuyone teningen chiwa madaba gom tenin chiwa madaba pe yang taba gom tenin ti tone chaja chimbu nelu gom tende jene nelu gomba ti yang taba jing tar jing sondu zane ta tanda chimi nyungme ke zensa sindayu sondawa chiwa meba nyungme nyungmasada chaja chimbu nelu la chiwas ke yo marwa ti nelu tinge simdiyo sta nge tata nga tinge leptuyo tende yinza ta nga shea ki njitra tando la chando tendu ta shea njitra chuni me songdo ta ti tsikde jezu mela ki ta borsho sheba yang marwa tendu nguyo nesu chigre te shidu zane chaja chimbu ku tun yang tabaji gom tumne ti gana chig ne tup songa yina tene chewe njitra goya meba yimbare kanyasana chuudam che nelu chaja chimbu la tomar jewa yo mare pardo neba yo mare taman jiba yo mare jenchin jiba tamchila chor songa re tene zubun dene kun jungwa ke ranchi chi yu zane kun tonroya yuba chigre zubun den tor songa yina sengu nelu la tonroya meba yimbare te indu zane tene chaja chimbu nelu yang tabaji do tup songa yina oda tendegi chi taman gansun chewe kala yina ya tendegi tape sungjuk chenpuchi chetukure songbare te chidu zane dunge tsorwe chobara yongmen juru te songdwa dunge tsorwe chobara yongmen juru standa
So similarly, also Milarepa said that in one of his songs, he says, first I was afraid of death, I was afraid of dying, and went to the mountains, retreated to the mountains. And there I meditated on impermanence and death, and upon that meditation, having realized the true reality, I'm not afraid of death anymore. That is really true. That was Milarepa's insight. He when you have realized Mahamudra, then there is no reason to be afraid of death anymore, because once you have realized Mahamudra, then you know that in true reality there is no arising, no abiding, and also no ceasing. And therefore, although your body may die, may come to an end, your mind, you know the true nature of your mind, and therefore you won't be afraid of death anymore. And therefore, it is said here in the sutra, those bodhisattvas will not be stolen away by the experience of suffering.
Tene tenanje dadong kar sondosna tedra teda ishi namda be wanda ma chunum tongbrashi tende chuji zulla tene ba juba yonsu jube semma ju sondwa ta chaja chenbu nelu yang tabachi to tup songa yinam tene tela tene debege chuda maungbe chu tamchege rangshin nelu karayinba tenyang yang taba shenru res tende shenbege chaja chenbu degana jik ne tup songa yinam tene 저랑 tene 심chen yenga tundu oda jeba kanji chegu yana samba tene jogu mare sumbare penanganzo de chanchu sembeki jerap tenso nangla chanchu samba khashegu oda yenla la so tamje jimba tang tuwa tende gi jimba tang toya te ninji jibu gi jimba tang tuyo mare ninji shuchimbu yoba jibu tang tuyo mare tena chendo chamba pe shuchimbu yoba jibu gu tang tuyo mare tene 닝제다 참바 유베게 토네 쪼고 가서는 찾아진부 그 또바 양타바지 줄여 여바 인도 자네 tene 텐데게 토네 다단데다 심신 신돈도 베지 쥐바 간진다지 제고유나야 델라베 셈나 쪼와다 인직자다 동해라서바 때네 메용어 토네 tene 다단데 쥐바 텐데지 제투고 여러바 대인도 자네 텐데게 쥐바 제베 거서냐 심바 쪼고 말해 송바래
And then it says, having analyzed with wisdom in that way, they know all present, past, and future phenomena to be empty. They remain in that nature of phenomena and perform bodhisattva conduct without being disheartened. So this means that once you have a pure realization of Mahamudra, then you will also realize the reality of all past, present, and future phenomena. And out of that realization, you will be able to act for the benefit of sentient beings without being disheartened. There are those stories of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who can also benefit sentient beings even by giving away their limbs and so forth. And that is something that they not only do out of their great compassion, but it is mainly they are mainly able to do that because of their realization of true reality. That allows them to greatly benefit sentient beings by like even giving away their limbs and so forth, by offering their bodies.
tende indu tene sanje karsundu sana tende inzans ta chaja chimbu ki tuen yang tabaji gombala penyo tende ta tanda kondu sheba nanshin samjima cheba yores te indu penyo tende yoba hakobe tone ta samshuk jigu res tanda ngaranzo meilu ten top chu cheya ki kokab yo chu yang jikdenge kamdana yo debe kabla tam bezon jigu res te maacheba ina mahombaran joba chenruurda sumbare chimetunan joba chesares chetares chigires te chedu zane kandarachi pyonyo yoba tube tone te tanda kone tam bezon yang tabaji nangsho te sumbare
So here the Buddha has now taught like the measurable benefits of realizing the Samadhi, or realizing Mahamudra. And now he says that once you have understood these benefits, then you should really put effort in your practice. Now you have attained the precious human body, you have all the favorable conditions to practice, and therefore you should now put all your effort into realizing the Samadhi, otherwise you will regret it in the future. And therefore the Buddha says here, having heard these benefits, you should long for unequaled enlightenment. It is difficult to see the sublime Sugata, so do not have cause for regret in the future.
단데네마 가르송바르스나다 산제 공기 백문에 사바다 자체와 다든데기 다완 남르다와 주반 남르다와 덴도 띵인생이 제부기 추등에 시기열에 수랑sol라 베란다우주 수랑sol라의 시기열스 시바인스 이내양 수랑속에 대 퇴네 드네 다 투바 지불레샤는 되게 말아스 덴도 찾아 전부 투바 대야 평양 전부에 대 이나 투바 지부 저도 말해 손발에 덴도 딱 검고레스 단도 공대시 받은소 계시드네 마검바이나 베나 칸데 차그레스나 네바지유나 딱고 나데요레 코란게 나차라 평양게 추 맨기 감데 코란 라발라타 셈데요르다 네바지기 코란게 나차들 평양 맨창마 거기 모신게 요레 거기 멤버게 모두 나 요레 모두 나는 맨때 요레 맨때네 맨기 다지 루사게 너데 코란게 라발라 셈데요 네바데기 이내야 티 네바데기 너데 맨 루사게 너데 라발라 셈 맨게 나차라 팽게 요바 셴바 디지부기 코란게 나차다 타투 마레스 맨으서 사고 요레스 디나신 드네 찾아 전부 된데 퇴바당 삼베톤의 셴바기 팽게 마레스 쪼고 드네 곰고레스 마곰바이나 드네 시다시다게 펜토야 드네 깔레 카보레 송바 대송바레 대인도산에 담못해주는
So next, the Buddha says that I have taught you this profound and vast teaching on pure view and pure conduct, but if you do not practice it, but just leave it at hearing my teaching, then you won't be liberated. And therefore you have to practice it well. If you don't practice it, you will be like a sick person who has a bag full of medicine and has also gotten explanations from a physician of how to take this medicine. But as long as this person does not actually take it, their illness will not be cured. This is what the Buddha says here. Just having a bag full of medicine will not cure your illness, and just knowing about pure view and pure conduct without actually practicing it, without meditating on it, will not help you, will not liberate you from cyclic existence.
텐데 인도산에 tene gomgore somba techi de san tene choba jiden songong ke kare somba sana tene nyambar jale yende tamchen jungre sonya chiwa Gongchig na 가서나 찾아 전부 그 도배기 연대 탐체 대 투바지 볼라드는 연구요 말레스 삼바지 볼라드는 연구요 말레스 투바다 300의 톤에 타르툴라 곰양다고 잡아 텔라데네 드네지 사당 람기 연대이나레 타르툴르 산제사의 연대이나레 탐체 대 곰발라드는 연구래 somba 대인도산에 인타난데네 산제기다 저 제쇼되는 곰고래 송도와 tuba jibu kaya mepen, samba jibu kaya mepen, ya tusam mena ya mendik, tendo tusam yebe tohne, tene tusam ke tundate, yana yando gomne, kandaraji sosu ke semde, tene chuge tunda tiga baba lepto baji kom tupsuma ina tene chude ta ngone tene pento chimbuchi chato gres o tendu ta tengen de gerbonde tunda taltuna nyamsulengo res ya tesumba imbare
So therefore, the main thing is that you actually practice. And Jigten Sumgan also has also said in the single intention that all qualities arise from meditative equipoise. So the qualities do not mainly arise from listening to Dharma teachings, studying the Dharma, and also not from reflecting on the Dharma, but from practicing the Dharma. So all, whether it is the qualities of the path, like the qualities of the Bodhisattva stages and the 5 paths and so forth, or whether it is the qualities of the complete fully enlightened Buddhas, all these qualities mainly arise from practicing, from meditation. That doesn't mean that studying and reflecting on the Dharma are not needed, but they are the basis for practicing or for meditation. And then the third step, the step of meditation, should not be forgotten. It is the most essential part. And only if you practice, then the Dharma will also really benefit you. And this is taught here in the Sutra.
Oya tangazo peche tena sharwa tene kama kashi the twatling chena kese twoyuna.
So maybe we stop with the explanations here, and if you want, you can ask some questions.
Yes, to have a dialogue, one more scholastic or language-based, the title of the sutra, Sarvadharma Swabhava, the true nature of all phenomena. And then Samatha, the equality of the true nature of all phenomena. Though Khenchen explained that the commentator brought in the view, the practice, the meditation, if you just stay to the primary meaning, one would think of emptiness in that first line, the equality of the true nature of all phenomena. And the Samadhi here would be establishing your mind in that. Isn't it the primary meaning?
So the quality of the nature of all phenomena, until there you would say.
That would refer to emptiness, generally speaking.
Die Chötamchigi Rangshin Yamba Ni Seadi and Siklatana da Peche Tongni da Kogumare.
Tanti in the Sane, Dina Chutam Chigi Nyambani La Sane, Jurgen Nesute Cherwa. Tela, Ogi Tingins and Japo said ya Jaran to Sane, Tene, Chutam Nelu Tope, Tawatelan Chayum Esra, Chutam Chigi Ranji, Nyambani, Stoa, number 2 pass Yorua, Tatanjin Jamberta was someone in the Jam, Chutam Chigi Ranji, Nyambani. Tope Tingins and Jarpos. Then I send you Chutamche number 2 ba Tingins and Jarpos, starting Ni Charwa. Chutamche Rangshin Yambani, Tingins and Jarpos, the Tower ship. Then I Chutamche number 2 be Tingins and Jarpos, that is a Jubal ship. Number 2 ba. Number 2 ba say Tegi Tingins and Jabon train the young Sudum Teleshi, Television and Young Door. tendu chidang kurang chu tamche ranshi nyamba nyi sido zane yurga nelo tongni tunda shichag yurga tongni esaya dharwa ta te yurga tongni de pa yurla maasha ne chu tamche ranshi nyamba nyi de tobe ge tene tingin zangi jabu san san tani chacha chimbo tawa thara tani dashi na yung dwa
Anybody chu
chu tamche number 2 ba
di
tingin zang de chudim la soba tabgi chatachi
di dana chewa di nana
chu ba la cha lö dang nga ge chudim la soba ne tani chigiri songdwa
Okay. So yes, you're right. Like you also read Tibetan?
No, Sanskrit.
Okay, Sanskrit. So I try to. So that would then be the in Tibetan the Chu Tamchigi Rangshin Nyampa Ni would be the Savadharma Svabhava Samatha. So until there, so to realize that Savadharma Svabhava Samatha would be to realize that would be the realization of emptiness, and that is the view. And then Savadharma Vipanchita would refer to the disciplined conduct. So in that way, the Samadhi contains both the view, the pure view, and the pure conduct.
The commentators will expound it in that way. But I mean, the primary meaning is
until until samatha, yes, then the primary meaning is emptiness.
And there is a further question on samatha, equality. I remember Khenchen was teaching us the Chandrakirti Madhyamakavatara in the end of the text. There is a verse which Khenchen was teaching us. Like the space in various pots seems to be different, but they're all one. It's in the Buddha Bhumi. So when you come to samatha, it seems it is not just the emptiness of one phenomena, but all phenomena. So it lacks that division. And what sort of mind would attain that? That I would say will be explained by the view and the conduct and the meditation.
What sort of mind would realize an emptiness that is not only the emptiness of one phenomenon, but all phenomena?
It's quite a prajna wisdom mind.
Then Nyamba Nise di Gatso Tonila Gida. Ani Numa Kenwachigi Majubachi Din Nana Anijik Nuchiki Nangi Tongbani Dangu Shemba Nangi Tongbani Karajawachi Tambuchik Sambo Tangyori Naya Munechina Chikbaris. And that should Hamjiki Tongbani Chikbaris.
Take a Tony kind, but then I couldn't Tony shit.
And it didn't song race in the Danda the Nyamba Nis Seki Tony the should Hamjiki Tony the and it didn't do the Tope Lode Kandiching race. Sit over race.
Tatandapana Umagi Captain Sumbeki Tony Chirwa, the do chew tamje Tombani Sidusane, Korwata Yangan, they were chew tamche. Koji Dendri Ranshi Matobe, Ranging Uton to Denver Chubakayan, Meva Indusane, Tendechila Tombani Sungurwa, Chudamje Ranshin, Tendu Tendegi Chudamje Ranshin Te, Tane Ranging Ugun Chubaten and Mever Tobi, Shirabdela, Toni Toba Slaidwa, Umatin Sukabla. That Tandan di Pechi Chachin is Umbanajin, Chenandana Tes Yari Samandurwa. 차징이 감네 차징이 감네 가르송 그래서는 코로와다 양엘랜데 외추 탐체에 대해 당보 승계 나와 임바 때나 와브와 korweki chue tamchede nyangene de chue tamchede anzu sem daba da madabe nawa ibachi madobe chirugu yulla tubame bachi chiru yugi tubame bachi tambo nawa tamje sem ibatena wa bro nawa tamje sem le losu chiru meba imba to charweki jela 다 심 고란게 ngote 간대지래 생각하는 때 심 고란게 ngote 답에 찾아 친구 뒤배겐 타탐제다 잡아지래스 텐데기 뒤배겐 타탐제다 잡아대다 취탐제게 내루래 센터에 봐야겠다 텐데스 름바치단으로 어디서 만나고지 용지래스 남보 나와탐제 심게 장신이 받대나 와다심 고란 간대지래 세대서는 심 고란양 유미 이민라 소백이 두백은 다 탐제다 잡아지래스 텐데데 다 취탐제게 내려오래 스테시거다
아니 우메가수
우메갈라 텐데기 좀 많이 체게 말해 치료가 유리나인다 난게 섬이나인다 탐제대 고랑게 무고는 줍된게 지금 매와 인자 동반이래 스탠드시 제기로 다 텐데기 돈이긴 시제단도는 디스테스 만다고 용쓰기래스
Okay, so in general, we have to think of emptiness in maybe two different ways. There's emptiness in the context of Madhyamaka, and there's emptiness in the context of Mahamudra. And in the context of Madhyamaka, it is said that all phenomena of samsara and nirvana, so whether it is outer phenomena or inner phenomena, are all nothing but dependent origination. They're not existing from their own side, and that is explained as emptiness. And in the Mahamudra tradition, you have different stages of the realization of emptiness, or how to realize emptiness. First, what you do first is that you establish that all phenomena are nothing different from your own mind. So you first establish all phenomena as your mind, so that that you realize that they don't exist anywhere on the outside, but they are not they're just within your mind. And then you think about the nature of that mind. So once you have realized that all phenomena are your mind, you think about the nature of your mind, and then you come to understand that your own mind is free from proliferation, free from the proliferation of extremes like existence and non-existence and so forth. And once you have realized that, then that also contains or includes the realization that also all phenomena are free from proliferation. So in the Mahamudra tradition, you have these three steps. First, you understand that all phenomena are nowhere else but in your mind. Then you think about the nature of your mind, and then you realize that the nature of your mind is free from proliferation. And in the Madhyamaka tradition, it is kind of only one stage to one step of realizing emptiness. So these two are a little bit different.
테마도 돈이 돈의 양지 맨나 벌베게 돈이 있어야지다. 조제게 돈이 있어야지 가간으로 지금 그 말와 가서 탐색이라는 신데 거기 땡진 저런 중앙에 땡지를 써야 차도요래. 땡지를 써야 되기라는 신데 간데 차도서는 돈이 있어야 차인데 전에 텔레메세기지 조제게 돈이 있어야 가가지다. 분배의 돈이 있어야지 가가지 용되게 말해서 텐데산에 지게 돈이 간 버텐의 군제 돈이 시에송래. 근데 이게 지게 돈이 양다고 또 송이나 탐제의 돈이 또 두래 송야지 송이로와 아얀데와게. 아얀데와 그 뭐지자원의 송래요.
So therefore, to come back to what you said in the beginning, like the emptiness of the table and the emptiness of a cup or whatever are not, they are not different. They're both nothing but dependent origination and therefore emptiness. And that is why Ayadeva said in his 400 verses that if you understand the emptiness of one thing, you also understand the emptiness of everything else.
So we say some dedication prayer.
Dorje Janchen de lo naru tong marba mela chuje gambo aba kamo dramba jarwan de gomba kaju lama namje dashi sho sonam de tamje zimba nye pomne nyebe dana pamje de Jega Nanjing Balun Chungpa Ye Sebe Tole Nduwa Nduwa Sho Chanju Sem Chu Rinpo Che Ma Je Ba Na Je Juru Je Ba Nyamba Me Ba Yang Kone Kundu Be War Sho Lama Gunga Zamara Survande Kyodo Guze Rinvara Survande Jile Darshan Jimbra Survande Lama Dandalva Mebra Shinjalo Jambe Ambave Chudran Chamba Dam Kundo Sambave Deyan Deshin Gunje Jesu Dalu Chen Kevan De Dai Tamje Ramdu Ngoi Sanje Guzoi Nibe Chen La Junyi Menjura Dembe Chen La Tong Gende Meche Dembe Chen La Chidrang Uje Palan Drapa
Tô trên tròn hiểu lục phó lò lục phó mò phó mình là rơi phép tam lord cầm bộ phó tham mô chư phó and lord three gong phó. Please bestow upon us the most auspicious blessing of all the Kardinal Lamas. By this virtue may I achieve omniscience. By defeating all enemies, confusion, may all who travel on the waves of earth, old age, sickness, and death, cross the ocean of samsara. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. I pray that the Lama may have good health. I pray that the Lama may have long life. I pray that your Dharma activities spread far and wide. I pray that I may not be separated from you. As Manjushri the warrior realized the ultimate state, and as did Samatapata, I will follow in their path and fully dedicate all merit for all sentient beings. By the blessing of the Buddha who attained the three kayas, by the blessing of the truth of the unchanging Dharma as such, by the blessing of the indivisible Sangha order, may the merit I share bear fruit. Glorious, holy, venerable, precious, kind, root, and lineage Lamas, divine assembly of Vedams and assemblies of Buddhas, bodhisattvas, yogis, yoginis, and dakinis dwelling in the 10 directions, please hear my prayer. May the virtues collected in the 3 times by myself and all sentient beings in samsara and nirvana, and the infinite root of virtue, not result in the 8 worldly concerns, the 4 forces of samsara, or rebirth as a Swarata or Pratyeka. May all mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me and mine, obstructors who harm, misleading maras, and the hordes of demons, experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. By the power of this vast root of virtue, may I benefit all beings through my body, speech, and mind. May the afflictions of desire, hatred, ignorance, arrogance, and jealousy not arise in my mind. May attachment to fame, reputation, wealth, honor, and concern for this life not arise for even a moment. May my mind spring be moistened by loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta. And through that may I become a spiritual master with good qualities equal to the infinity of space. May I gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life. May the torment of suffering not arise even at the time of my death. May I not die with negative thoughts. May I not die confused by wrong view. May I not experience an untimely death. May I die joyfully and happily in the great luminosity of mind as such, and the prevailing clarity of Dharmata. May I in any case gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra at the time of death or in the garden.
Dada Kunde Dham Cheche Tesam De Sabba Dha Yempe Geve Zavande Dada Samje Damje Nyurda Lana Member Yanta Bara Zombe Chanchu Rinpoche Tobara Jurche.
By the virtues collected in the 3 times by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue, may I in all sentient beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious enlightenment.
Jaya Gunze Gunchen Chunjen Che Tendre Nela Wanto Ante Gomba Rinchen Barje Demba Sende Bar Sheru Tusangum Zenjuru Che.
May the teachings of the great Rinpoche Ratnashri, who is omniscient, Lord of the Dharma, Master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara.
Chanchu Semcho Rinpoche Mahache Panaya Chinchurenchi Chepaya Nyambaya Membaraya Kone Kundu Pewa Sho.
Thank you so much. And I also want to take the opportunity to thank you, precious Khenchen Nyima Gyaltsen Rinpoche, and also all the translator, Katrin, Querl, Tempo Nyima, Wova, and Alex. Okay, see you in less than 12 hours.